Hello, my name is Angie Yingst. Welcome to my studio. I'm so glad you're here. I'm a writer at Still Life with Circles and Glow in the Woods, and I'm an artist. I have an Etsy shop called Angie Yingst Studios, and there I paint images for women and men who have lost children, for people trying to have a baby, and I do a lot of other sacred image prints and things like that. So I've invited you here today because I'm at Still Standing magazine this month, and I've challenged you to create art about ritual and remembrance for the month of October. October is kind of a sacred month in our community because it is Pregnancy and Infant Loss Remembrance Month here in the United States, and I think around the world we also have kind of celebrate that. So there's also Samhain and Halloween and Day of the Dead, Dia de los Muertos. That's something in my culture that we celebrate, and I've gotten involved in Day of the Dead swaps in this community, which have been awesome, and I've gotten a lot of great art from that. So I've invited you here today because today I'm going to be talking about creating a sacred space. Now, why? What's important about that? Like for me, and this is why I'm here telling you about it, I find it incredibly important to make art part of my ritual. It's really hard to find things to do for our children. You know, they're not here with us. We don't get to mother them actively. And for me, art has become a way for me to mother my baby and to sort of just sit with her essence and her being. And when I am leaving my outside world of commitments and mothering and parenting and wifing, I like to transition by transforming my space with just a little bit of kind of a ritual. What I do is I create a sacred space. Now, I usually have my sacred space here. It's usually set up all the time. You know, I think this is kind of inherent. This isn't something that I said, oh, I must create a sacred space. But I just started with one candle, something like this. This is found in the kosher section of your grocery store. It's about 99 cents or 79 cents. It's a memorial candle. And I think I had one just like lit on my shelf. And I put the picture that Carly wrote, Lucia's name in the sand, and I had that next to it. And then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now it's kind of this permanent addition to my studio. So I took everything off because I'm going to show you some ideas and techniques. Now we switched this up, my kids and I, for different seasons. We put, you know, acorns on. So this sometimes is called nature table. You know, you can call it whatever you want. I call it my altar, I call it my sacred space. You know, I do kind of come here and light my candle and light some incense. For me, you know, that's all I really need is candle and incense, and I kind of feel like I'm in a sacred space. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You do what feels comforting and comfortable to you. You can incorporate your religious tradition. You can keep it separate. You can handle it however you want. Now, I also have created like portable altars. This one is one that I created because I was going outside with my sister, and we decided that we were going to set some intentions, and we did it with this. So you can do that. You know, I think making sure you're feeling safe and comfortable is the most important part. So some people put it in roll-top desks or desks that they can fold up, and they don't have to let the rest of the world see, and oh, what is this stuff? And you know, I'll show you some ways that I've done that too in my space, stuff that I'm not completely comfortable with. So, alright, first thing I'm going to do is put a candle on my altar space. Now, I just like to get these little jar candles just because they don't drip wax everywhere. I love this lotus leaf candle. It's awesome, and I usually put a big pillar in, but it does get wax everywhere. So, I'm just going to start with that. Like I said, I pretty much, you know, could have a candle and some incense and I'd be good to go. So I'm going to start that off. Now I do like to have some sacred images on my altar. So I'm sorry, I'm a one-woman show here, so I'm kind of, I hope I'm not turning my back too much on you, but I do love the Virgin Mary, and this one I got in an antique shop in Mexico. And I paint Mitsuko Jizo. I paint these little altar paintings specifically for this reason, but I invite you to try to paint some sacred images yourself. I used to paint a lot of pictures of me holding my baby, hence this one, which has gotten bigger and bigger. This is actually the top of my Day of the Dead altar last year, and Day of the Dead we hang a lot of calaveras, and this says "The Lord cries with me." That was something that that I tried to say to myself instead of thinking, you know, that I was cursed. I tried to think that God was crying with me. So that was part of why I did this. So I kept it up because I loved it. Which, anyway. Alright, I'm going to put some more paintings up. This is a painting I got at a Day of the Dead. This is Amy McCarter. And, of course, Carly wrote Lucy's name in the sand. There we go. Now, I also put a little angel up. Now, you know, you don't have to put anything up. Or you can look for specific things to put, you know, to make your altar your own. Like I bought this little Jizo. You know, Jizos are bodhisattvas specifically for stillborn and miscarried babies. They're supposed to carry the being or the soul into the next being, which I think is just such a cool idea. Now, when I create this as a Day of the Dead altar, I put up some Day of the Dead things, and this is one that I received. This looks very easy to make. It has a little skull on it. It looks like a little trifold. But when you open it up, it is actually a picture frame. We don't actively display my daughter's picture around. It's a real trigger for my husband, and so he can sometimes handle it, sometimes not. So the great thing about that is I can fold it up, and he doesn't have to see it if he's having a rough day. So that works for us. I also made these sugar skulls last year. These are so easy to make. There's a great tutorial on Mother Henna. She has some great ideas for Day of the Dead. I love her. She's just an incredible artist and woman, and she's very generous with her tutorials and things, so go check her out. Anyway, I made them last year. They're not very tasty, and now that it's been a year, I would definitely not suggest eating them. But they're good things to put on. We put a lot of candies and food on your altar for Day of the Dead to help the dead, invite the dead in to share a meal. So I also put a little bowl of water and some shells, one from Christian's Beach and one from other sacred places we've gone to. I also love crystals and stones. This rock was painted by my friend Renelle from this community. I do like to put a lot of stuff from this community that people have made me. I love handmade things. So I put this on. This is a little seed pod that Kathy Sandler, who was the director of the Ms. Foundation, gave me. And I love crystals, so I tend to put crystals on. Go to the New Age shop or the metaphysical shop in your town. They sell little tumbled rocks like this for like less than $1 usually. And I do rose quartz is good for the heart, and I do Apache tear is good for grief. Now you can set intentions with this. When I was painting for International Kindness Day for the Ms. Foundation, I wrote out everybody's name and I had an intentional heart grid on my altar to honor and, you know, alleviate the grief and suffering of other grieving parents. And that felt really awesome, and I just set up this grid here with crystals. Another thing you can do is you can make this quite elaborate. These are little paper picado that will go across here for Day of the Dead. I like to put feathers, and I have sage here. So this is some ideas on how to make this space your own. And remember, there's no right way to do it, so just play with it. And once you get a sacred space up or an altar or something, I would love to see a picture. So why not share it on Still Standing Magazine? Put the link in the comments section, because I would love to see what you're working on. All right, I can't wait to see your art. Thanks for joining me.